Every single second of every single day, you are playing the ultimate survival game. Living organisms are just constantly working to acquire food, hack their biological systems, repair tissues, and, well, above all, stay alive. It's a beautifully complex process, and today, we are decoding the entire blueprint in this explainer.
So it really all comes down to this one massive existential question. What is the ultimate secret to survival? I mean, whether you're a microscopic amoeba, a towering oak tree, or you, sitting right there watching this, you need energy. But where does it actually come from? Well, the answer lies in the microscopic building blocks of life. It's all about how organisms capture chemistry from their environment and literally turn it into biology.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the fuel, macronutrients, and the regulators, micronutrients. Then we'll look at what happens when the system fails, before exploring autotrophs, the self-feeders, and heterotrophs, the consumers. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, the fuel, macronutrients.
Now, macronutrients are the absolute heavy lifters of nutrition. These are the exact chemical inputs your body demands in massive quantities to keep your biological engine running. Take carbohydrates, for example. Made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, these simple sugars and complex starches are your body's primary energy source. Think bread, rice, potatoes. Then we have proteins. These are the builders. Made from long chains of amino acids, stuff you find in meat, eggs, and beans, they're absolutely essential for tissue repair and forming the enzymes that make your chemical reactions happen. Finally, we've got lipids, your fats and oils. Composed of fatty acids and glycerol, lipids act as this incredible concentrated energy reserve. The butter, nuts, and avocados you eat, they insulate your body and protect your vital organs. It's a perfect system.
Moving right along to Section 2, the regulators, micronutrients.
So if macronutrients are the gasoline in your car, micronutrients are the spark plugs. You really need to know the clear distinction here. Vitamins are organic compounds. You get them from fresh fruits, veggies, and dairy, and they maintain your overall health and immunity, like vitamin C for healthy skin or vitamin D for your bones. Mineral salts, on the other hand, are inorganic elements. Think calcium from milk for strong bones, or iron from leafy greens. That iron is quite literally used to manufacture the hemoglobin in your blood. So one is organic, one's inorganic, but both absolute non-negotiables for keeping the biological machinery running.
Now, before we leave the nutrients behind, we absolutely have to talk about water and roughage. Now, neither of these are nutrients in the traditional, strict chemical sense, but, well, you wouldn't survive long without them. Water provides the vital fluid medium for all those chemical reactions we just talked about. It regulates your body temperature and transports dissolved substances everywhere they need to go. And then there's roughage, or fiber. This is indigestible plant material, like cellulose. It adds bulk to your food and triggers peristalsis. That's just a fancy word for those natural wave-like muscle contractions in your gut that keep everything moving smoothly. Gotta have it.
Which brings us to Section 3, when the system fails.
When an organism's tank runs dry, the biological consequences are severe. Take kwashiorkor, for example. An individual might actually get enough total calories, maybe through a really high carbohydrate diet, but they have a critical deficiency in dietary protein. Without those specific amino acids to build and regulate, fluid literally leaks into body tissues. This leads to a swollen abdomen and stunted growth. Compare that to marasmus, which is basically a total system failure. This is a severe lack of overall calories, carbohydrates, and proteins. The body literally begins to consume itself to survive, resulting in extreme emaciation or just wasting away. It's a tragic, powerful reminder of why that specific balance of macro and micronutrients is so absolutely critical.
All right, zooming out a bit, let's hit Section 4, autotrophs, the self-feeders.
We've looked at what the body needs, but how does this nutrition actually get into the world in the first place? Well, meet the autotrophs. These are organisms like green plants, algae, and certain cyanobacteria that never have to hunt or forage. They are nature's ultimate factories. They manufacture their own complex organic food entirely from simple, inorganic raw materials found right there in their environment.
The primary way they do this is a literal recipe for life: photosynthesis. First, they trap light energy from the sun using a specialized green pigment called chlorophyll. Then, they use that solar energy to stitch together basic inorganic molecules, specifically carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil, to manufacture organic food, like glucose. Actually, when you think about it, it's pretty mind-blowing. They literally take the non-living ingredients of the world and spin them into life-sustaining energy. And that brings us to Section 5. Heterotrophs, the consumers.
But what about the rest of the living world? You know, the ones without chlorophyll? Well, it all boils down to this perfect little phrase. Autotrophs make it, heterotrophs take it. Because consumers, animals, fungi, most bacteria, cannot photosynthesize, their existence depends entirely, either directly or indirectly, on consuming those autotrophs. It is literally the foundational dynamic of every food chain on Earth.
But it's important to note, not all consumers take it in the exact same way. Heterotrophic nutrition is actually split into 3 distinct and frankly super fascinating survival strategies. We've got holozoic, saprophytic, and parasitic nutrition. Let's look at how each of these hacks the system to acquire those essential nutrients. First up is holozoic nutrition. Now, this is the most familiar method because, well, it's what we do. Holozoic organisms take solid organic food into their bodies whole, and then the digestion process happens entirely internally. Whether it's you eating an apple, a lion taking down prey on the savannah, or even a microscopic amoeba engulfing a tiny particle, they all share this exact same strategy. Ingest first, digest later.
Next, we have saprophytic nutrition. Think of mushrooms popping up on a fallen log, or, fungi growing on that old piece of bread you forgot about. They feed on dead and decaying matter, but they digest their food outside of their bodies. They secrete extracellular enzymes directly onto the decaying matter to turn it into a liquid soup, and then they just absorb the simple nutrients back in. Imagine if you had to, dissolve your dinner on the table before you could eat it. That's effectively what they're doing. It's wild.
Finally, we conclude with the most brutal survival hack of them all. Parasitic nutrition. Parasites don't bother making food, they don't hunt, and they definitely don't wait for things to die. No, they live directly on or inside a living host organism, and they just steal nutrients right out of them, causing the host harm in the process. We're talking tapeworms, leeches, hookworms. They completely hijack the host's hard work, taking those pre-digested macronutrients and micronutrients entirely for themselves.
So, we've covered the microscopic chemical fuels, the regulators, what happens when the body fails, and the incredible macro strategies organisms use to actually secure their meals. Autotrophs make it, heterotrophs take it. But I really want to leave you with this final thought. Without the makers, the plants and algae silently turning sunlight into sugar right this very second, how long could all the takers, including us, actually survive? It's an incredibly delicate, fragile balance that connects every single living thing. Keep exploring and stay curious.